Oh wow, dude, look at this. Myntra's offering a flat 50% discount off in its winter catalog. Sounds like your kind of thing. Are you planning to buy something? Not really. Oh, look at this. There's a leather jacket. Original price 4,000 rupees and now it's available for just 2,000. 50% off. Wow. This is too good, man. Wow, let me check this out. Leather jacket, huh? I mean, do you even need one? Need? But no, but come on, can you resist a 50% discount? It's too good a deal to pass up, man. Yeah, but isn't that the classic story? You just buy stuff like this and it just ends up hanging in your closet gathering dust? Nah, not this one, dude. This one I'm going to wear for sure. This is a steal. I mean, imagine getting a 4,000 rupee jacket in just 2,000 bucks. Like, that's 2,000 rupees that I would have wasted otherwise. I mean, duh. Did you not waste it here? Of course not. I mean, if anything, thank God I bought it before the sale ended. Jeez. Add to the bag. Well, my friend, what if I tell you that that confidence you have might be your brain tricking you, or your biases are distorting your understanding of reality? What? What do you mean? What biases? A question we all kind of expected would come up, or at least I did. For as Daniel Kahneman puts it, we can be blind to the obvious, but we are also blind to our blindness. What he means is, when we're making decisions, searching for something, or even trying to figure something out, we as humans always think we're being logical, but in reality, our judgments are being secretly influenced by cognitive biases and limitations, things we're not even aware of. It's kind of wild, right? That's exactly what we will be exploring in today's video. The kind of biases we are vulnerable to, as have been listed by Daniel Kahneman in his book, Thinking Fast and Slow, and how, using skepticism as a weapon, we can overcome them one bias at a time. So, let's dive into it right away, shall we? Anchoring bias. As the name suggests, anchoring bias is when we set the very first piece of information we get about something as the mental anchor to base our final judgment on. We end up putting so much weight on that first impression that it leads us into drawing faulty conclusions. It's like getting stuck on that first piece of info, even when there's so much more to the story. Let's go back to the jacket on sale incident to understand this bias better. When you purchased that jacket just because its original price, that is 4,000 rupees, made its discounted price, that is 2,000 rupees, look like an excellent deal, irrespective of the fact that you didn't need the jacket in the first place, you did nothing but let anchoring bias obscure your decision making. Confirmation bias. As humans, we have this tendency to favor information that backs up what we already believe, think, or know, and we tend to ignore everything that challenges it. For example, if you're into a conspiracy theory, you're more likely to watch videos or read articles that support it and completely brush off anything that contradicts it. It's kind of like a shortcut to feeling right, but the problem is, it only reinforces our biases and keeps us from seeing the bigger picture. And that's pretty dangerous when you think about it. Overconfidence effect. When people place their knowledge about something or their ability to do something over and above everything else, even facts or common sense, it's due to the overconfidence effect. As per Kahneman, humans are naturally overconfident and often believe they have more control over things than they really do. So, if next time you find yourself stuck in a traffic jam and believe you can make your way out of it by riding on the footpath, do think twice, because you aren't immune to accidents. And no, you don't have the superhero level of biking skills that you think you do. Availability heuristic. This is when we base the prospect of something taking place on how easy it is to recall similar examples from memory. Let's say you're thinking about getting a pet dog, but then you come across a news story about a dog attacking its owner. Even though dog attacks are super rare, that one story sticks in your mind and makes you second guess getting a dog. So instead of looking at the bigger picture, you let that memory of a few bad examples sway your decision. That's how the availability heuristic works. Illusory correlation. When two things are believed to be connected in some way or the other, even when no connection between the two exists, illusory correlation is at play. One example of it would be when we expect two people belonging to the same astrological sign to behave in a certain way. Though there is no evidence to support such expectations, we still choose to stick to them due to some random patterns we saw in some random data. Superstitions and stereotypes work in a very similar manner. In-group, out-group bias. In-group, out-group bias is when we favor people who belong to our own group and treat those from other groups unfairly. It's like this automatic tendency to stick up for our people and discriminate against those others. Apartheid in South Africa was an excellent example of this bias, where whites saw themselves as a superior race and those blacks as inferior and uncivilized, leading to systemic inequality and the perpetuation of racial discrimination. Framing effect. The framing effect, as the name denotes, is our tendency to evaluate the reliability of something on the basis of how it's presented to us instead of what its actual content is. For example, when a medical report claims that someone has a 90% survival rate, it makes us happy. However, if the same report frames it as a 10% death rate, it makes us apprehensive.
Do you want the Aladdin news or the Aladdin news?
The Aladdin news?
You are HIV Aladdin?
Now, even though both imply the same thing, the way the information has been presented makes all the difference. Truth bias. This is one bias we get subjected to more often than not, and the consequences are horrendous. As per Kahneman, we humans are inclined to view whatever we are told as true, making us trust others more than we should. In a relationship, for instance, we often overlook discrepancies in our partner's story just because we want to view them as someone honest. This, even when we have ample proof that suggests otherwise. Uh-oh. Did I just end up hitting a sore spot? I hope not. Sorry. Next, reiteration effect. When we put our complete faith in something that we fear over and over again, even if no supporting evidence exists, we are under the reiteration effect, aka illusory truth effect. You know how our family members, especially moms, always warn us that drinking cold water can give us a cold? Well, somehow that idea has stuck, and now a lot of people believe it. But of course, we all know colds are caused by viruses, not cold water. Still, that little piece of wisdom keeps getting passed down. Base rate fallacy. We fall prey to the base rate fallacy when we disregard statistical probabilities in favor of specific details or evidence. Like, for example, when you test positive for a rare medical condition and actually believe you have it, even when the disease is a rarity and the test can, well, be a false positive, you tend to focus on the one-off result instead of the bigger picture, which is where the fallacy comes in. Representative heuristic. This one's a mental shortcut we take when we judge someone or something on the basis of how similar they are to a certain prototype or stereotype with no rationale to support the argument made. Imagine you meet someone who is tall, athletic, and loves to watch basketball. It wouldn't take much for you to assume that they are a basketball player when, in truth, the majority of tall athletic individuals are not basketball players. And these attributes aren't basketball specific, to be honest. Or are they? Barnum effect. This occurs when people view general statements about themselves as accurate, even when those statements can loosely apply to anyone and everyone. Horoscopes, people? Need I say more?
और अगर राशि तुला है और शनि अगर चौपट हो गया तो जिंदगी नरक हो जाएगी, नरक हो जाए.
Survivorship bias. Agree or not, we all have a tendency to focus on the successful examples of something while ignoring those that led to failure, because it's easier and more comfortable to just stick with the positive side of things, right? For example, you might want to become an entrepreneur because of people like Elon Musk and Melanie Perkins, but you're overlooking all the others who tried and didn't make it. It's just human nature to highlight the wins and ignore the losses. Sunk cost fallacy. When we keep pursuing something, even if it's no longer beneficial, because of the time and effort and money you've already spent on it, we are indulging in the sunk cost fallacy. Imagine you have been watching a web series for days and it's boring, but you still decide to keep at it because you don't want to let the time you spent watching it to go to waste. It's that feeling of not wanting to quit just because you've invested so much already. Hindsight bias. I'm sure most of you would have heard of this one. Hindsight bias is when, after something happens, we manipulate ourselves into believing that we knew about the outcome all along, even if we didn't. Like when your favorite football team wins, we often say, "Oh, I knew they were going to win," when in reality, we were never sure of it before the game started. Scarcity effect. This is when people see something rare or in short supply as more valuable than everything else, irrespective of the fact that it isn't inherently valuable. This takes us back to a jacket on sale example once again. The idea that the jacket was on discount for a limited period of time made it all the more appealing and urgent to buy for you than it ever was or would be. So while the biases we are faced with as we analyze everyday stuff, from the small to the significant, are plenty, the ways in which we can counteract them aren't too many. Yet those available are significant still. It's all about being aware and using the tools we have to push back against those biases. This is where the role of critical thinking shines prominently, as there is nothing better than skepticism to question assumptions and preconceived notions. Or is there? Anything? The very idea of being a skeptic, in fact, revolves around recognizing the fact that our minds are truly, madly, and deeply flawed, and at the mercy of biases, whether we like it or not. How exactly can skepticism help, though, you ask? Well, before we get into it, it's essential that we talk about the ways in which our brain processes any and every bit of information. This would help us ascertain the times at which we are the most exposed to our cognitive biases. Daniel Kahneman gives us a detailed account about the same in Thinking Fast and Slow. He lists two fundamental ways in which our brain perceives the world: System 1 and System 2. System 1 is fast. It acts on gut feelings and does not give much weightage to deliberation. It's the system we make use of when trying to avoid a ball coming our way. You step aside based on your intuition and quick thinking. System 2, on the other hand, is slow. It works on conscious thought and reasoning. It's the system you use when making sense of complex scenarios, say solving a math problem, for instance. So, coming back to your question, whenever faced with a bias, try to slow your thoughts a bit. This will bring System 2 into action and, as its direct consequence, help you reason and avoid jumping to conclusions. Another thing that you can do to make yourself immune from biases is to actively challenge your assumptions. Ask yourself if what you think is truly correct and based on enough evidence. If the answer is no, problem solved. Well, kind of. If it's yes, look for alternative perspectives and confirm the practicality of your stance. You can also give your past decisions and their outcomes a retrospective glance, to see if there are any biases involved and what they made you do. Please know that you can totally choose to not take my word for it, and I would respect you for that, because as they say, no two individuals are alike, and what works for me might not work for you. And isn't that kind of the whole point? To be open to new ideas and willing to revise your own beliefs if and when necessary? So, to sum things up, the science of self-awareness and the openness to diverse perspectives are the keys to perceive the world for what it truly is, not what it pretends to be. Thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And remember, always question your assumptions and be rational.